Okay, in this video you will be learning how to find the slope of a line from a graph. And here's how the problem would look. Find the slope of the line in the graph. So let's take a look at our graph. It is this graph right here, and we want the slope or the steepness of that line. And remember that the letter we use for slope is M. Let me change to a brush. There we go. M. Which in this case, let's use our formula for it as change in y. We use delta, the Greek letter for change in y, over the change in x. The formula for it, if you want to use that, is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. We'll get to that in a little bit. The simplest way to do that is to find several points on this graph and just count the change in y, the change in the height, and divide by the change in the x, change as it moves in the horizontal direction. So I'm going to pick this point right here. I usually begin with my y-intercept because that's pretty simple. And as I move from left to right, I find the next point that is right on the grid lines, right at a whole number. And I'm going to look at my change in y, which is right here. It's this height right here, so, which is positive 2. My change in x is this number here. It is 1. So then my change in y we said was 2, and my change in x was 1. We can then simplify that to 2 if we would like. And that is my slope. So that is all you need to know to be able to do this. I'm going to show you a couple more things as well. Let's go back a bit. If instead of choosing this point that I chose right here, if I had chosen and picked this next point, I would end up getting the same thing, because we would see that my change in y is this amount right here, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. My change in x is this amount here, which is 2. So my change in y is 4. My change in x is 2, which still simplifies to 2 over 1, which is 2. So we get the same thing no matter which points we pick. And so that's a pretty easy way to do this. Now if we wanted to use our formula for slope, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, we could do that. Y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. This point right here has an x coordinate of 0 and a y coordinate of -1. This one has an x coordinate of 2 and a y coordinate of 3. So all we have to do is plug those in. I will call this my second point, and the one we started with will be my first point. So let's continue this. y2, the y from my second point, let's label these. And I'll pick a different color so you can see the labels and how they work out. So this is x from my first point, and this is y from my first point. This is x from my second point and y from my second point. We'll go back to our blue here. So y2 is 3 minus y1, which is -1. So 3 minus -1 over x2 is 2 minus x1, which is 0. We're going to do our subtraction first. 3 minus -1 is 4, and 2 minus 0 is 2. I get the exact same thing I had up here, which gives me a slope of 2. So one more way to do this problem, just in case you'd like it, is to use your calculator. So once you're on your calculator, you can hit New Document and List in Spreadsheets. We're going to hit X for there, Y for there. We had 0 and -1. And then we had, what was it, 3, 2? 2, 3. So we have 2 for our X, 3 for our Y. Remember, you hit Control Doc to add a new page. We wanted to add a data and statistics. We change this one to our x-axis, this one to our y-axis. It's already looking a lot like what we had. We do Menu, Analyze, regression linear mx plus b, knowing that m, the coefficient of x, will be our slope, which gives us 2, the same thing we had the whole time here. So those are several ways to find the slope from a graph.